Hello and welcome to another episode of Inquiry into Empathy Quotient. Today we're going to be addressing a very, very pertinent topic, the topic about generational issues that we have in work environments and even in our homes. And we're going to explore this topic and try and understand how empathy tools can help create safe and happy environments. And for that, we have with us someone very, very experienced, someone who's the Vice President HR at Zee Entertainment. So Preeti Toshniwal, she's actually an engineer by choice and HR by passion. And that's something we're going to talk about a little more because that's very interesting. The switch is very interesting. And she's worked through 4 very important industries, which is IT, banking, real estate, and entertainment. So with this kind of diverse, rich experience, she's really in a place to tell us more about empathy because she has applied it in her life as well. And the other interesting thing is that she's known in her company to create a culture where coming to work on a Monday morning is not so bad. And also she has this talent and charm to turn appraisals into really interesting conversations, thereby making empathy a very cool thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Vidya. That was a very, very generous introduction. I am genuinely touched.
Thank you. And why I really wanted to have you on the show is because when we connected on LinkedIn, I believe you saw one of the podcasts and you found interest in the topic. And even in that initial chat, we spoke about the intergenerational issues. And you told me how you all have been using actual tools and they have been very useful and have very good outcomes. So I just thought that you will bring so much light to this topic.
Oh, certainly. And Vidya, in fact, let me start by complimenting you that theme that you've picked up is so real. It's so relevant in today's world. And as someone who's really passionate about empathy, because I believe that is more than just a value in nowadays. It makes more sense to have that conversation with someone who's like you, who's so expert in this topic herself. So thank you so much. It's my pleasure being here and having this conversation with you.
Thank you so much. And I'm really hoping that, all the people who wrote into me saying that, empathy is all well and good, but, the Gen Zs and the Gen Alpha and how do you deal with them? I'm hoping some questions are going to get answered today.
Let's try to make this an exchange of stories and maybe a few laughters too.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Looking forward to that. Tell me about the switch from the fact that you've studied engineering and what drew you to an HR career.
Oh, that was an interesting one. So yeah, as you said, I'm an engineer by chance. Those years we hardly had few options, and then I opted being into an engineering stream. But later in like a third year, etc., I realized that how passionate I am about human, about that connect, about knowing people better, and that's where I thought, why don't I pursue an HR? And that's why I very consciously made that switch to get into this, and till now I'm very happy about it. Fantastic. So I'm HR by choice, and also I'm a coach by passion, because getting deeper into this, I realized that coaching is also something that will always help people come out of the issues, and that is something that they can do beautifully by themselves.
Right.
That's where the coach helps them to do. So then I further deep dived into the coaching thing, and that's where that became my passion. And as you've said, I've worked in multiple industries. Yes, I started with IT, I moved into banking, then into healthcare, real estate, and now in entertainment. So I've detoured into multiple industries, and honestly speaking, all of these stops have helped me develop my own lens towards people.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so maybe that's something we have in common, because I really believe that understanding human behavior is my ultimate quest in life. So, you've spoken about your journey, but could you walk us through your journey to leadership? Because, that is what the podcast is about. So I would like to know how that journey to leadership has happened and how, empathy might have shaped you or shaped your perspective.
I would say I also started like all the other freshers, like fresh out of college, very ambitious, outcome focused, right? Wanted to achieve everything and anything in the first few years, aggressive for the lack of the word. I also started like the same individual. I was so much into work, trying to achieve everything. And somewhere I did not even realize that I'm losing on the human part of it. I'm in that run of trying to prove myself, my performance, building up credibility.
Right.
And this actually came to me through a instance. It was very early in my career that I was asked to have a conversation with one of our employee on the performance grounds. I had to ask him to leave.
Oh wow, that's tough.
I was very, very young in my career that time. But my thought was that, okay, this is a task that I've been given. Let me have the conversation with that person. I called that person. We sat across the table. I told him that these things are not working well. These are your numbers, and hence we can't continue. It was just a one-sided conversation. Now that I look back, I realize that it was just a one-sided conversation. And to my surprise, that guy did not argue. He just said, "Thank you for treating me more like a number and less like a human."
Oh my God, he said that.
And that hit me really hard. That changed the entire perspective. Until date, many, many years after that, until date, I carry it in my mind and my heart, saying that what did I do? Do I have an option to go back and change the narrative altogether? And another instance in a real estate where I was again asked to have a tough conversation with one of the employees on a similar ground, which was performance issues. That time I took a pause. In my own mind, I tried to sort it out, saying that what am I gonna do here? Then also I was young, data driven. This gentleman was in his 50s as a site supervisor.
Okay.
Struggling with the performance for many, many months. And we were being told that it's a very dynamic industry. We need to really replace the person. At that time, I took a pause, and in my own mind, I decided that I'll approach this differently. I'll at least try to approach this differently.
This is when you were in IT?
In the real estate. The first one happened in an IT, and this was in the real estate. So I sort of called that gentleman. He sat across the table. Somewhere my conscience did not allow me to ask him on the numbers. I simply sat with him and asked him one question: how's everything at home? And you will not believe, Vidya, it opened a floodgate.
Wow.
He started talking about everything and anything. He found that safe space. I got to know that his daughter has just gotten married. His wife is fighting a life-threatening disease. He is in a major financial strain. And that moment I realized it is not the performance feedback that he needs right now. It's the emotional bandwidth that he requires. And I decided I can't have this conversation with him on the performance. Rather, I went back. We gave him a break. We reworked on his routine, the timings. We gave him some financial support. And after a few months, his performance soared.
Oh, fantastic. This is the difference when you try and understand what the problem is, what is the person going through, and then help them kind of navigate through.
And that was a very, very life-changing moment for me. And I was actually feeling good about it. Saying that hadn't I been learned the other way in my first conversation, it wouldn't have happened this way this time. And that is where, very interestingly, I've realized that all this human connect, knowing the other person's ecosystem, knowing what the other person is going through, all of this is nothing but that empathy quotient that we often talk about.
Absolutely, it is. Yes.
And I've often I realized that performance and empathy are not opposites. They are rather partners.
That is so useful, because I think that is what all managers struggle with. That if they want performance, it's very difficult to be empathetic. So please share more about that.
So why I say that is because performance, targets, deliverables, they are all the what part of it. But when we talk about empathy, it's the how part of it. Every what is incomplete without the right how. And honestly, trust me, Vidya, anyone can come and tell you that what do you want to achieve, what you have to achieve in an organization. But it's your own wisdom, your own curiosity, your own human element that will help you curate the how part of it.
Right.
No one will teach you that. So that is where I feel that performance and empathy has to go hand in hand.
Right.
It's only when they're together, they are partners, is when we can achieve what we want, and in the right ways. So you'll find me having conversation with my business leaders, less on the numbers, but more on all these aspects.
Really? So do you talk to your business leaders and say, why don't you, your behavior should reflect this performance plus empathy? Maybe not using the word empathy, but something like that. Is that something you work with your leaders on?
Yeah. On an everyday basis, we just sit across the table for a cup of tea and start talking everything apart from work. So with a lot of my leaders, I have that connect, that morning tea, we'll talk about everything apart from work. And that is how in those conversations, all these things come out. These are all experiences. These are not processes that can be taught. These can be felt, these can be experienced. And in our experiences about our personal lives, these small things comes out. And that is why I try to nudge them and bring them to a point saying that you are doing all of it, you're saying all of it, but are you even realizing this is what is empathy?
Yeah.
This is what is the human connect. And very beautifully, then they start resonating it with it.
So I'm getting what you're saying, that by actually practicing it yourself with them is how you're percolating it.
Yes.
Because if you were to just tell them to do it, it's very different. But now that they've experienced how it feels so good when you're having a cup of tea and being able to share beyond work with somebody, and then they will kind of replicate it.
And also, someone has to lead by example. So I personally follow a practice that when my business teams or the leaders or the team members are on shoots, and it is a very, very demanding role for them, the creative world, right? It's very dynamic. So when they're on shoots away from work, from like the office for many, many days, I do make sure that I'm at least checking on their well-being every day.
Right.
Just a simple message, hey, how are you doing today? Is everything all right? Is it going all well there? I just thought of saying a hi.
Right.
So a lot of them have come back saying that those messages actually make us feel good. There's somebody who's still caring for us. There's somebody who's wanting to know about our well-being. And that's where some of the leaders have come back saying that we have actually taken this from you. We've very royally stolen this from you, and we've started doing this with our team members. And they've seen that change. They've seen that rapport, that bond developing. Because once you develop that bond, even the crisis can't really break you.
Correct. That's a very nice one. That once you develop a bond, the crisis can't break you.
It's that simple that at home, we have fights everywhere, right? We have fights at our home and our family members. But do we leave the home? We never do that.
Yeah.
But when we have similar arguments or disagreements at work, the first thing that comes to our mind is let's change job.
Yeah.
So what's the underlying theme is that bond that we may have not developed here, which obviously is there at our home.
Right.
With our people. So if we have a similar bond here, we would not think of running away.
Right.
Or we would not think of moving out, looking for another job. Rather, we would think of sitting and sorting that out together and coming out stronger from it.
True. Okay. So now I'm going to jump into, the topic, the theme, which is about intergenerational issues. Can you share examples of what that might look like in organizations that you've been in?
When we talk about the generations at a workplace, we're actually talking about 3 different operating systems right now.
Okay.
We have baby boomers.
Yes.
Who grew up with a structure, with a hierarchy. Then we have millennials.
Yes.
Who have maybe championed the hustle and the autonomy. And then we have generation Gen Zs.
Right.
And it's all about their work-life balances, about instant gratification, about their boundaries and all of that.
Right.
So we have these 3 generations present in our workplace as well as at our homes.
At homes, right.
Right. A very, very quick thing I would like to share is one of the Gen Zs once told a very senior leader, saying that why do I have to stay back late when I'm done with my job? And the leader felt very offended. The next day when it came to me saying that this is how the Gen Zs behave and this is not done, I took a pause and I said there's no point coaching both of them because both of them have their own ecosystems, the way that operate, etc. I rather sat with them and I said, I want to introduce something very interesting if both of you are agreeing to it.
Okay.
And that is something that I introduced a concept called role reverse days.
Okay.
And thankfully both of them agreed. They took a challenge to experience it. So on a couple of days, the senior shadowed the junior, the Gen Z, And on the other few days, the Gen Z shadowed the experienced one.
Okay.
And what came out, obviously, I was a bit nervous and tense that how this will come out. But what came out was a beautifully earned mutual respect.
Fantastic.
Because they now started to understand each other's ecosystem, the challenges, why do they operate a certain way.
How does shadowing work?
So it's like a role swap,
Okay.
but still without the work getting impacted. So still, if the work is not getting over, the original person is still responsible to make sure that the work is delivered.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like a role swap.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So when they started to understand each other's ecosystem, the challenges, the pain points, they actually started not just acknowledging but appreciating that.
Nice.
And that is where then they came back saying that when my boss tells me to stay back, it's not because of this, that he wants me to be slogging in the office, but there's more to it.
Right.
And the experienced one came back saying that when he says my work is done, why can't I leave? There are more reasons that he's wanting that.
Right. So this role reversal, is it something that you had read about, or did you learn it from another organization? How did you come up with it?
That's an interesting one. So normally, so as you know, I have a 7-year-old daughter.
Yes.
Yeah. So we do a lot of role plays to teach them stuff.
Okay.
Which is serious, but we want them to learn in a very funny way, a very lighter way. So I often get into a lot of role plays with her.
Okay.
So this idea actually came to me from there.
Oh, great.
Saying that sometimes I become a shopkeeper, she becomes a customer, or vice versa. So why can't we have a role play at a work setup? Worth trying. And obviously the role play has to be relevant to the organization. And that's where we thought, why can't we reverse our roles?
Right.
And try it once.
Right.
So obviously, as I said, I was more nervous than they because it was the first time I was trying to experiment something, and because thanks to two of them, they've agreed to the senior leader who's agreed to do a role reverse on a certain day. But that actually came out very beautifully.
Other anecdotes or stories that come to your mind of these kind of positive outcomes?
Another one, a concept that is again a very beautiful, a very interesting one is, so in the real estate industry, no, not there, rather in an MNC that I was working with.
Okay.
One of my very senior person always used to come back saying that these Gen Zs are not serious about their job, and you would have often heard about it.
That is not a surprise.
That they're not serious about their work.
Yes.
They do not respect time at all. They come in late for meetings. They would just leave. And I was like, okay, let me find out more to it. I heard him. Next day, I just wanted to check on the performance of the team. And to my surprise, the team has been delivering everything very beautifully, very efficiently. Then I picked up the conversation with a few of the team members in a very casual setup.
Okay.
And then I understood productivity from them is not a 9 to 5 thing. It's the outcome.
It's the outcome.
Which may be looked at little differently with the experienced one. For them, even if I'm 10 minutes late for a meeting, I'm delivering everything fantastically. So their understanding of productivity was the outcome. But obviously, there is where we see understanding gaps between generations. So my task on my mind was to how do I bridge this understanding gap now?
Right.
Because everybody is right in their own world. So that is where I introduced a concept, and this I've done even before once, called perspective check-ins, and that has to replace
perspective check-ins.
Yes.
Okay.
And that has to replace your performance reviews.
Okay.
So every Friday, the team would come together along with the leader, and they would talk everything apart from the numbers.
Okay.
They would talk what did they do in the last 1 week, what went well, what is something that they've learned from it, what is something that they would want to do differently in the coming week, and also what is one point that they want their leader to know or notice.
Leader to notice about them.
Or notice about them or
Nice.
about their performance. So it's like building on that positivity as well as reflecting, as well as setting up the tone for the next week. And everybody is talking their perspectives about things. That I feel this should be done. Why? Because of this reason. I feel this did not do well, it is worth trying it differently next week.
Right.
More of a qualitative discussion than a quantitative one.
What were some of the outcomes?
Initially, obviously, for the couple of weeks, or I would say 3-4 weeks, I used to be the one sort of facilitating all of that. But later on, even the leader and the team members realized that they, after all this discussion, this perspective check-ins, they come out with a plan which doesn't have the number, but which have everything on the ways of working. And when they execute the plan, that plan in the coming week, in the next week, the performance is showing. The numbers are there.
Oh, okay.
It's like a byproduct of how we are trying to achieve things. What is all getting achieved there?
Nice.
And also one important aspect that leader shared with me is these perspective check-ins have become those micro moments of human connect for him.
Nice.
He actually came back to me saying that I did not knew my team so much. Now I know my team even deeper. Now I know who's good at what. Now I can leverage to somebody's strength. Now I can build to somebody's opportunity.
Nice.
Now I can give that qualitative feedback and the person is also open to listening to that. That bond has been created.
That is fantastic. So one, you've really actually given a very practical tip of how to create connections. And the other thing I'm really taking back is that, so, most counseling these days is talking about everyone wants to be seen, everyone wants to be heard. And I think that is what you have facilitated by this kind of an activity. And it sounds really simple, but what happens is that most times we're so busy with work, it's not easy to, and what I've seen is that, and I have been a victim to this myself, where you start the meeting with saying, how are you doing? But before the person can even answer, you're like, okay, listen, so, we need to finish this, we need to finish that. Because you've said how you're doing in your head, you don't even have time to really absorb the answer.
And having said that, there's a bottom line there. All of this has to translate into your business. Only then you get the buy-in from your business leaders. Only then when you are able to create that credibility. So because these perspective check-ins resulted into that business numbers.
Right.
So what I try to do there is to sort of work on the how part of it. And the what part got delivered as a byproduct of that.
Correct.
Had it been that what part wasn't delivered, the person would not want to invest time there.
Right. Yeah.
So the leader came back to me saying that one, my numbers are getting met. Two, the way they are getting met is something that I'm liking. Now, every Friday, people are so excited for these check-ins.
So how do you think these are different from, so a lot of companies and especially media as well as agencies do this, where they, kind of encourage that on Fridays go have a drink together, or, that social lubrication is what they call, or there will be a team lunch. So how do you think this perspective exchange is a little different from that?
Oh yeah, there is a slight difference there.
Okay.
Because when we are going out for a drink or for a lunch, it's like a fully casual setup. Here we are trying to create not so formal setup in the work environment itself.
Right.
Because our center still remains that we have to deliver that. But what we are trying to change is that formal feedback mechanism to more of hearing, listening, asking, rather than assuming and giving feedback. So it still revolves around your work.
Right.
And what it helps is to also develop that bond, which we are trying to achieve through the casual setups like a dinner or like a team lunch. So it actually solves for both.
Right.
But the center here remains the business, the deliverables, because that's what the leader would primarily be responsible for.
Nice.
So without compromising on that piece is what we are trying to bring, a non-formal setup.
Right.
Because Gen Z's again is all about non-formal setups. They often say that the experienced ones are very hierarchical.
Yeah.
They have a structure, they are rigid. By introducing this non-formal setup, it's like a midway.
What do you think is the biggest misunderstanding that each generation has about the other? This is really interesting because I see memes all the time. So I understand the misconception we have about the Gen Zs, but please share and tell us more about this.
This is a very interesting one. And there are lots and lots of it, yeah. Let's take it a little differently. So let's try and solve for it by looking at the lens that they have for each other.
Okay.
So if tomorrow, in fact, if you go and ask a Gen Z, or rather a experienced one, about Gen Zs, the first thing that you'll get to hear from them is they do not want to struggle the way we did.
Oh my God. I'm sorry, I've said this too.
So do I.
Yes.
So they do not want to struggle
Yes.
the way we did. They
Yes.
are entitled. They are quoted as entitled. Yeah. And at the same time, if you go to a Gen Z and ask them about the experienced ones, they will say they are very rigid. They are old school. What if I don't have to struggle because I can innovate my way through? But they're so rigid and they're so old school that they want things their way. This is the first response that you will receive from either of them. But underlying theme is both of them wants to be heard and seen.
Yes.
As you yourself mentioned,
Yeah.
right? Both of them want to be heard and seen. It is like, coming from a creative industry, I would say it is like two radio sort of stations or two radios transmitting with different frequencies. Until you actively tune in, there's a static.
Nice. That's a really nice way to put it. Yeah.
And I actually sense that static. Because both of them have their own frequencies to operate. Somebody needs to go and actively tune that in. And that's where we play a very important role. Be it HR, be it coaches, be it the senior leaders. We need to be that antenna. And that antenna is nothing that human connect. It's all about empathy.
Right.
And also, I believe that there are a couple of mistakes that we are making in the entire piece of understanding, or trying to go away with that misunderstanding.
Okay.
And few of them is, one, we often fail to understand that the ecosystems are very different.
Okay, by that you mean?
So by that I mean that their journeys have been very different.
Right.
Their world has been very different. Now there's nothing black and white for them.
Right.
It's all contextual. It's all fluid. It's all the perspectives. For us, maybe things were black and white. This is right and this is not.
It's engineering or commerce. Everything was this or the other. Binary. Yes.
Now they are nothing but multiple shades of grey. Everything between a black and a white. Because of the ecosystem that they've been brought up into. The world view that they have. The accesses that they have. We often fail to understand that.
Right.
So the second important thing that I feel that we often confuse ourselves with is equality is no more sameness for them.
Okay.
For us, equality was sameness. All of us have been treated the same way. We have been treated equal. But now this perspective has changed for Gen Z. For them, now equality is being fair.
Can you explain a little more the difference between sameness and fairness?
Sure. So let me take a simple example. 3 people are trying to watch a cricket match from a stadium. There's a man, there's a woman, and there's a child.
Okay.
And I give stools or chairs to all 3 of them. A man, because of the advantage of his height, is able to now watch the cricket match very, very clearly.
Right.
Wherein the woman standing on the same chair is still struggling to watch it. And the child, for him or her, there is no difference whether you've given that chair or not, because he or she still is unable to watch anything. In my mind, I've treated them equally.
Right.
That's how we have been treated all this while, and we were happy with that we're getting an equal treatment. Right? We often hear, even in our diversity piece, that men and women are treated equally.
Correct.
But nowadays, the concept of equality is changed for the Gen Zs. It is no more sameness, it is fairness. But another important piece that I wanted to bring here is one more common mistakes that we make is, very often we have a comparison on the journeys. You would often hear me, and I have myself done it a number of times, that when I was your age, I would do that. This won't really work with Gen Z now. It's all about, what do you want to work with? What is your stress points? How would you want to do it differently?
Right.
Because the minute we tell them that when I was your age, I was slogging like anything, or when I was your age, I was doing all of this.
Mm.
They would just switch off.
So interesting, because when I was told that, that would motivate me. So, but you're saying they switch off.
They would just switch off. Because I've had those conversations with people and they've quoted that why this comparison? When we have things to use, why don't we use them? Very simple example is ChatGPT.
Yeah.
They prefer using ChatGPT even to draft emails. There's no harm in that.
Yeah.
But normally we as millennials also question that why don't you draft it yourself?
Why taking the shortcut? Why taking the easy way out?
When we were at your age, we would draft 10 pagers. And they're like, when we have this available with us, why don't we use it?
Absolutely.
Why this comparison?
And I really like the fact that you're bringing this back again and again through examples, that it is contextual. So saying that when I was your age, which is when I was 25 years old, but when we were 25 years old, the resources available to us were so scarce. Like there were barely anything.
Yes.